Hello everybody, good evening and welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news as Ruben Amorim is basically told to sell if he wants to buy. How are we in this position with 2 weeks to go in the transfer window? In fact, I tell a lie, there's less than 2 weeks to go in this transfer window. Well, Fabrizio Romano is saying that we're very close to a here we go for Garnacho, but the price difference between what Chelsea apparently want to play and pay and what Manchester United want is as much as £20 million. What will we end up getting for Garnacho? We'll talk about that. Also, we've got RM says we want Terry. Terry's on tomorrow, so you'll get your own way, mate. Love that. Anyway, also, we're going to be talking about a few other potential outgoings and what that actually means for incomings. We're also going to have the Mainoo chat tonight. I said this morning we would, and we'll have any chat you want to have because it's a Friday. It's not a Friday night. It's an 8 o'clock show, and you run the 8 o'clock show. So if there's any topic you think's going to really pop off or any questions you want to ask or anything you've heard that you want to get opinions on, get it into the show. Let's get into it. But Smoggy says straight away, I'm pissed off. Chelsea and Garnacho absolutely taking the piss. Sancho taking the piss. Anthony's taking the piss. Just let them all rot. Yeah, I mean, I saw something on Anthony today that basically Betis are saying that we can have a loan with an obligation to buy next summer, or they'll pay half of what he's worth now. How do you put yourself into that position as a football club? I mean, how do you put yourself into a position where Real Betis are basically, you're Real Betis's bitch, basically? How do you do that? You know, I also read something today as well. You're going to love this if you've been watching the show. Because, you know, I really thought this was quite funny. I can't remember where I read it. I will find the source. I'll find the source during the show. But the point is, it basically said that Manchester United are becoming increasingly concerned that Jadon Sancho might run his contract down and leave on a free in the summer. And I felt like going, slow sports news. No shit, Sherlock. I mean, we've been literally talking about this from the day he turned Chelsea down in May or early June. And United have finally figured it out that despite them trying to sell him all around Europe, he might actually be thinking about running his contract down in a year. I mean, and I laughed when I read it because I thought, this is literally the most open goal, obvious strategy ever. Guy on huge money with 1 year left on his contract, doesn't fancy taking a pay cut so Man United can earn a transfer fee. He'd rather earn big money for another year. I mean, what people don't realise about Sancho is, if he's on 250 grand a week or he's on 300 grand a week, he's on that for another year, guaranteed. It's written in a contract. Why? Whether you're Jadon Sancho or David Beckham, you know, why would you? What I'm saying is, a lazy footballer who just can't be arsed and, you know, an icon of the game, why would you, on 300 grand a week, sign a contract with somebody else that's a pay cut when you're guaranteed 300 grand a week for another year and then you're free? It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy that we've thought that that wouldn't be the case. But anyway, I want to talk about Garnacho first because there is a whole raft of stories coming out tonight that, well, as I said, Fabrizio Romano is saying get ready for a here we go on Garnacho, but multiple sources are basically saying there's quite a big difference in the valuation. Sky Sports, you can watch the games there. That's the positive. Sky Sports chef has basically said that Chelsea are looking to offer £25 million. £25 million is what Manchester City paid James Trafford from Burnley. Okay, yeah. However, Ben Jacobs is saying that Man United are insisting on £50 million valuation of Garnacho. Despite Chelsea wanting him for less, United are using Madueke's 48 plus 4 move to Arsenal as a yardstick. Which, you know, at the end of the day, Madueke wasn't walking around in Mallorca wearing an Arsenal shirt and also, you know, causing a load of shit. There has to be a bit of a discount. But I think if we achieve 45, I'd be reasonably happy with that one, to be fair. So look, I think as I said, Fabrizio is talking about here we go very soon. I think the interesting thing is we all know that Garnacho will end up going to Chelsea, but it's the price we get. And what I'm most interested in is a lot of outlets are talking tonight about Man United need to sell to buy. a lot of people are clambering around. Who's the goalkeeper going to be? Who's the midfielder going to be? Are we going to get anybody? And the general brief is we've got to sell to buy. And the question is, if we've got to sell to buy, why were we negotiating with Brighton on Baleba? Why were we discussing personal terms? So I do call bullshit, actually, which is unlike me, but I do call bullshit because how are we going to get Baleba if we need to sell to buy? So I think we do need to sell. Absolutely, I think we need to sell. But I don't think we need to sell to buy because I think there's a hypocrisy there already that if Brighton had said, we'll take 55 million for Baleba, which is apparently what we thought we could get him for, we would have paid it. So I think that I don't think we necessarily do need to sell to buy, if I'm being honest with you. But obviously we do need to sell. And what might be happening is after Baleba, we're not really too sure what we want. So we are of the opinion that we work on the exits. And that might concern some of you. If we're working on exits, does that mean we're not working? Look, honestly, I do think we're going to do something. I think we're trying to do something. But the transfer window is closed in 2 weeks. We're not the most efficient team. I don't want to scare you, but from the moment David Ornstein broke the Baleba story to today, that's all that's left in the window. That's the length of the window, isn't it? In fact, that was probably longer ago. So there's literally not much time to do anything. And I certainly don't think we can be sat around trying to sell players before we do it. There's not enough time. Yeah. Can you not just fine him his wages somehow, says Louis? You can't fine a player for not wanting to leave when you've given them a contract. I mean, if you've got 5 years on a contract and 1 year left and you're like, we want you to go, and you go, you gave me a contract, there's not a lot you can do. Do you think we're going to sign any players? I think we're trying to. And look, wherever I look at the moment, I can see people doing deals. Eze to Spurs. Douglas Luiz is about to sign for Nottingham Forest. Liverpool are about to go for Guehi and Isak. So I think that I think of course we can. Yeah, definitely. But I also think that time is running out. I would not be confident to sit here and say we'll get any deal at the moment, but I do know that we're trying to do them. Simple as that. Romano Bomber. I don't know what you're talking about Romano, but I can have a quick look and I'm sure somebody can tell me what it's all about. But I am concerned about it. And I think that ultimately it just feels a bit quiet around Manchester United at the moment, Just having a quick look here to see if I can find what it is. Apparently we've been offered somebody according to Romano, but I don't know whether anybody can tell us who we've been offered. It's only just coming out, so I'm sure we'll find out during the show and we can comment on that. But apparently I'm about to get the detail of that, so we'll come back to that. Let me just catch up on some of your comments. Anrudder, thank you very much. Welcome to the Members Club. Do you think it's fair that Amorim has to sell to buy this late in the window? I don't think fairness comes into life anyway. Literally, I don't think it does. I don't think we're being run in the way that other football clubs are being run. I don't think there's many clubs in the Premier League that would be hoping to get into the Champions League that would leave glaring holes in their team. I mean, of course, I would expect the Crystal Palaces of this world and the Fulhams of this world and the Evertons of this world not to be able to solve problems in their team. But I don't think the Liverpools and the Arsenals and the Man Cities and the Chelseas do that. And that's where we want to be, apparently. And, we've left the midfield and we've left the goalkeeper. And I find that massively, massively confusing. But on the other hand, I do sometimes think we get swamped by conjecture and spin. We would have bought Baleba last week if there'd have been a price there to be done. And therefore, we don't need to sell to buy, do we? I think that the opportunity to do things is there if we want to do it. Apparently, we've been offered Rabiot. This is what's been coming out from Fabrizio. We can't look. I'm glad we're catching this live because we don't always catch things live. I saw that Rabiot has fallen out with Marseille, and he's basically been kicked out. If we take Rabiot, we may as well fuck off. Like, this is a deal that I would have considered 3 years ago, would not have fancied a year ago. It's just not the sort of deal we need to do. And it's not the sort of deal we're going to do. And Manchester United get offered all sorts of players. Rabiot's not the first player to be offered to Manchester United this summer. We will go absolutely nowhere near this. I wouldn't even be concerned about it. We get offered him every summer. We won't go anywhere near him because his wages will be ridiculous and he's 30 years of age and he is, by all accounts, I nearly said a knobhead. No, that's a bit unfair. By all accounts, he's hard work. His mum's his agent. I nearly said his mum does his hair. That's that ref. This is not going to happen. So we can all get really stressed and really angry and say that this window is going from bad to worse. But players get offered to Man United all the time. We were offered the opportunity to go for Ramos about 2 months ago. We were offered the opportunity to go for Vlahovic. We bought Šeško. So, you know, I'm sure we were offered Nicholas Jackson. I'm sure we were offered Callum Wilson. I'm sure we were offered Calvert-Lewin. And we didn't get any of them. So I'm not stressed about Man United being offered a player. And I'm sure it's true. I'm sure his mum has rung up and said, will you take Adrien? But the point is, because it's coming from Romano, doesn't mean it's going to happen. He's saying we've been offered him. And we will say no, thank you. We will say no, thank you. We're not looking for a 30-year-old mercenary who's fell out with Marseille to be part of our rebuild and disrupt what even Joshua Zirkzee said today is a really, really happy dressing room. So we're not going to go anywhere near this. So it's not even worth going, if we sign him, I'm going to throw my pants in the air and set fire to them or whatever. I don't know who would want to do that. But we're not going to do it. And we're wasting time talking about it. And, you know, why is Fabrizio mentioning it? Because he will have been told it. And it puts Rabiot in association with Manchester United. It's PR. It's perfect PR. Man United have been offered Rabiot. It goes on a Fabrizio Romano video. We talk about it. Suddenly, Adrien Rabiot is being spoken about by hundreds of thousands of people. And some mug team out there will go, well, if Man United are looking at him, we'll take him. We ain't going anywhere near him. So don't worry about that. What about Aguimi, says Chris. Look, I was asked about this on Terry's channel this morning. And I watched what Beth said this afternoon. For me, it's just a Guerra situation again, where we're being used. I don't think we're in for him at all. Nobody has told me that we're in for him. And I mean, why would they? But what I mean is, there is no credible person out there saying, keep an eye on him. We spoke about Guerra twice this summer because Spanish reports said that Man United were interested in him. Not one credible source ever said it. So the same thing's happening again. Spanish sources are linking us to Aguemi of Sevilla. But no, there's no Romano, there's no Ornstein, there's no Ben Jacobs, there's no The Athletic. So I just think we're being used. And we do have to accept, especially in the last 2 weeks of the window when we're desperate. We're desperate for news and other clubs are desperate to do business. Those 5 strands of transfer are going to be very important. It's total bullshit. It's totally true. It's the agent using United to generate interest elsewhere. It's the agent using Man United to get a contract where they are. Or it's the club using Man United to try and generate interest. And we will be multiple. We will be multiple of those types of stories, I'm afraid. Rabiot's camp are proposing the opportunity to offer him to clubs, for example, also to Manchester United. He was a target many years ago, but in recent years, not close. I'm not hearing anything concrete. He's going to be offered for 15 to 20 million. Forget about it. Forget about it. There's absolutely nothing in it. Nothing at all. Akash says, Sir Jim has publicly said that Ruben was his choice. He parted ways with Ashworth for him. I think Ruben will be fully back to prove he was right, says Akash. Well, we've got 2 weeks to go. Look, all I know is what I know yesterday. We are actively looking at a midfielder and a goalkeeper. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? Bethany Jeeves says, "Hi Mark, it's my dad's birthday. Could you please say happy birthday to Paddy?" Happy birthday to Paddy. Hope you have a great day. Rabino, says Smoggy Monster. Tobias, welcome to the Members Club. Thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for getting your badge in. Analia says, Ugarte was bought in to bench Casemiro because apparently he doesn't have the legs. You ignore Ugarte completely and blame Casemiro for our midfield woes. This is the United Stand. It's a community. That's absolutely what we're here to talk about. Why are you asking me about my personal opinion on players and projecting it in a way that doesn't actually make any sense? What you're trying to do is get me to toxically go in on a player because you like Casemiro. Casemiro is running his contract down because he's on 350 grand a week and he doesn't want to leave. He's got no ambition other than to run his contract down. And he's a really likeable guy with a brilliant career. But I tell you what, if he was called Anthony or Sancho, you'd be saying something very, very different. He's going to walk out of this club for nothing in a year's time, and our outlay on him is disgusting. 60 million north plus 350 grand a week. I don't even want to do the maths on what we've spent on Casemiro over the last... How many years has he been here? 3? 350 grand a week is £1.4 million a month. £1.4 million a month is around, fucking hell, 12 million, 16, let's call it 17 million. So £60 million transfer fee, and let's be honest, it's going to be 4 years of 17 million. So that's 40 million, 68 million in wages, 60 million pounds in transfer fee. God knows what the agent fee was. 128 million on Casemiro for one good season. But it's all right. He's one of the world's best CDMs in the last decade. Unfortunately not for us. Unfortunately for us, he's only useful if you're playing in the Europa League where it's a little bit slower. 128 million we're going to end up spending on him. And you want to talk about Ugarte. Well, I'll talk about Ugarte. I'm going to talk about Mainoo in a bit. So let's talk about Ugarte when we do that. Here's another one. Hambo says, your sources also said Delap was deal done. Laugh my arse off. You know what, mate? You should come to one of my live shows, because if you laugh about Delap deal done, you know what? I could just say really rubbish jokes. It'd be great. Mate, I don't even like doing the source stuff because it provokes people like yourself. I'd rather the last 3 weeks where we can just be a community reacting to news and Sesko and Belieber. That's what I want to do. I'd rather be talking about the game and stuff like that. But unfortunately for you, multiple times over the last 6 months, our source has given us very valid information. Liam Delap was the priority target. You can't defeat that. Garnacho is leaving Man United. We were first on that. Yoro did start in the final. We were first on that. Onana is not wanted by Manchester United. We were first on that. We're not going to sign a midfielder unless we get rid of a midfielder. We were first on that. Collier's going to leave this summer. We were first on that. So there's other stuff as well. But not everything's going to be right. And we didn't sign Delap, but he was the priority. So I don't remember saying Delap deal done, but you know, who knows? I remember saying that we'd been told he was the priority. Can you just find him? Well, you can't do that. Where does Leon play when Dorgu always starts, says Nicola? Why does he have to play? Why does he have to play? When does Havertz start with Gyökeres at Arsenal? Where does Ekitike play if they sign Isak? Nicola, if you've got Leon on your wall, let him down. He needs to go to training tomorrow. But seriously, if he's your favourite player, unfortunate. But he's been brought into this football club from Paraguay as a new player to learn and compete. And that's what he's there to do. Not every player gets to play every game. We're going to talk about Mainoo in a little bit, and it's probably going to be a very interesting topic. But I don't even see... I saw Jamie Carragher actually saying, at the end of the day... No, I saw Jamie Carragher, a clip of Jamie Carragher saying that Havertz will be playing for Arsenal on Sunday because Gyökeres will get dropped. And I thought, well, that's very, very inflammatory, because if you are a top team these days, and I hope Man United are heading down that road, do you really get dropped or do you get rotated? Because Dorgu won't be able to play every single game, and maybe Leon will play the Carabao Cup games. Maybe he'll come on for 20 minutes at the end of the game. His first job is to get on the bench, because he wasn't even on the bench at the weekend. But I think these things are a real positive, Nicola. I think the more players that, Rasmus wasn't on the bench, and Onana wasn't on the bench, Leon wasn't on the bench, that just shows you that you've got options on your bench. So, look, competitions for places is good. What did you think about Onana being the starting keeper against Fulham? I read that somewhere. I can't remember where. I think it was Talk Shit that Onana is expected to start the game on Sunday. I mean, I love these sort of stories. I absolutely love these sort of stories because as if Ruben Amorim's gone, what's that person from Talk Shit? Oh, yeah. Can you get me his number? Why? I just want to tell him the team news on Tuesday. Yeah, I've got it. Hello? Yeah. Onana's going to start on Sunday. Can you tweet it? Yeah, but do it in a way where, he's expected to start on Sunday. Because, okay. All right. I'm also going to tell you who we're going to sign. Yeah? Yeah, okay, I'll be back in touch. I mean, Onana's expected to start on Sunday. I mean, I could say Bienda's expected to keep his place on Sunday. I've got a 50-50 chance. I mean, the question is, I probably would put Onana back in goal over Bienda, to be honest with you. It's like, as I said, it's like picking between two volleyball players at the moment. But yeah, I mean, look, neither fill me with any confidence. And you know what? It will be a concern on Sunday because we're playing it. I worry about, if you've got. I want the first game of the season to be at home. But the second game of the season always worries me because that's your first away game is their first home game of the season. And, they've had to wait a week for it. I worry about the first 10 minutes at Craven Cottage if there's a bloody goalkeeping error and then the heads drop. So, yeah. I mean, I wish we had a goalkeeper. I'd pay 50 million to let Garnacho rot until 2028, says Mario Franco. Can we talk about how impressive Ligt was, says Mario? I mean, I don't think we need to, because I think on this channel, certainly myself and many of you have always been big admirers of Ligt. The reality is that Ligt has been a player that Manchester United, that we bought and that I thought was very good last year. I just think he's a player that has been, a victim of this strange footballing xenophobia where if you're not British, you get targeted. And I thought he was absolutely superb at the weekend. Absolutely superb. There's talk about, some people are talking about Camavinga being offered to Manchester United with a price tag of 80 million euros. I mean, I will comment on it. I would absolutely love to sign Camavinga. But while we're at it, can we also sign Jude Bellingham as well? I mean, you've got more chance of getting Camavinga, but no, it's just not. It's just not going to happen. And you know what? I'll be completely honest. If we bought Camavinga from Real Madrid, I would be like, I want the world's best medical and do it twice. Because I do not trust Real Madrid when they're selling a player. Varane, one of the world's best centre-backs, injury prone. Casemiro, one of the world's best holding midfielders, coming right towards the end. The only reason Real Madrid sell is because there's something wrong with them. Alonso, thank you very much for being a member for 28 months. And Anurud as well. Appreciate that. So Jim has publicly said, I've done that one from Akash, haven't I? Can we talk, yes we can talk, Rash, about the terrible treatment of Rasmus given how other players at the club act? No, you know what? I don't think Rasmus has been treated that badly at all, really. I think that what's happening is that Ruben Amorim has basically been told that if he wants to bring more players in, he needs to bring money in. And Garnacho and Anthony and Sancho are not interested in helping the club that's made them millionaires. They're interested in themselves. And we're actually paying money on them. People forget we're paying their wages. Sancho is being paid 250 grand a week by us at the moment, and Anthony's being paid 200 grand a week. So United need to raise cash. We've made no sales. Zero. Nothing. So the James Garner effect comes into play, where you start to have to sell players that you probably wouldn't have wanted to sell, but the board are saying, we've spent £200 million on you, you need to bring some money in. And Ruben Amorim can say, hold on a minute, I've told you the players to sell. It's not my problem. I didn't buy any of these players. But the club go, well, if you want anything else, we need to start balancing the books. In which case he will go, well, you know, I've got Sesko. I've got Xerxes. Okay, you know, let's move Rasmus on. And in which case they go, well, you need to help us do that because he doesn't want to go. Well, how do I help you do that? Don't use him in the friendlies. Don't put him in the matchday squad. So I mean, look, this is what happens. I mean, honestly, it'll be interesting because if Rasmus doesn't want to go and he feels that it's worthwhile him staying, as soon as the transfer window closes, Amorim will start using him. That's how it works. So I don't think there's any. You know, I saw the pictures of Rasmus at the game at the weekend. He looked obviously disappointed, but not like crying. I think if he's still here when the window closes, hopefully, I think it makes us stronger. We've got more options, and I want more options. The only players I want out of the club is Garnacho, Sancho, and Anthony at the moment, and Malacia. I hope we keep everybody else. Obviously, I want a goalkeeper in, but and a midfielder. But no, I think it's all games at the end of the day. Yeah. Apparently, there's an Isak statement coming out. I mean, this is the United stand. I'm not here to talk about other people. Maybe we can do that in the after show. It's amazing how we're always right. Many expert pundits doubted De Ligt, says Shahin. I think over the years, as a collective community, you have been right on a lot of things. I think obviously there's minority conversations that go wrong, but surprise, surprise, I'm a big advocate of fan opinion, and the reason for that is you're not paid. It's your time, it's your passion, and I think most of the time that outwits people who don't watch every game or are paid to give an opinion. And people come at it with agendas. Look, we're not with the United stand, but I think they're going for Gyökeres at the moment on total naivety and ignorance. And we've seen it time and time again with Manchester United players. I mean, people took an instant dislike to De Ligt. Instant dislike. You know, some of the stuff that was said about him about, you know, what did they say about De Ligt? He's not physical enough. The guy's an absolute beast. Can we talk about... I've done that one from Rash. Thank you very much to Shahin. Hi, Mark. I'm doing a United Stand bingo card and you completed with it at the end of the day. Also, what did you think of Bienda's passing on Sunday? I thought his passing was okay, Nimi. I thought his passing was okay, but I want a goalkeeper that saves shots. I couldn't give a shit about passing, to be honest. Mojo has gifted us 10 memberships. Thank you very much for that. True Teller, thank you for being the person that walked into the trap with De Ligt. Apparently De Ligt was buying scraps, and yet Bayern Munich fans set up a petition to not let him go. Obviously, any individual manager can come in and make their mind up about a player. That's absolutely fine. But the fans didn't want him to go, and it's very rare that a fan base starts a petition for a player to go. I mean, at the end of the day, there's not a petition going out for Garnacho, is there? Or Marcus Rashford, or Jadon Sancho. I wonder how the conversation goes when they're telling Onana, etc., to move on. Must be uncomfortable, says Little Market. I mean, I find the Onana thing and the Bienda thing quite remarkable, really, because the whole world is talking. It's different because people say, well, how's it any different to Rasmus? But we've already got Sesko. We've already got the replacement. So we haven't got the goalkeeper. Like, Rasmus is hanging around knowing he's going to be the second striker and wanting to stay. Onana's hanging around because he knows he's stopping us by his replacement, so he'll be number one. It's a very different situation. It amazes me we've put ourselves into that position as well, because Gary Neville, everybody in the mainstream, all of you, we all agree that we need a goalkeeper desperately. And United know that, and Amorim wants one desperately as well. But United are happy to go into a season. I mean, I don't know how you run a business like this. I really don't know how you run a business like this. Right, running a restaurant and knowing that the chicken Kiev isn't cooked, and every time someone eats it, you know, they're going to get food poisoning, you're going to get a bad review. But you don't take it off the menu. And everybody's already done reviews of it saying the Kiev will make you sick, this, that, and the other, but you still keep it on there. You're walking into the season and everybody's saying don't do that. So you've either got to be absolutely confident that everybody's wrong and Onana's going to be amazing, or you're stupid. And we are walking into that trap. Mojo's gifted 10 memberships. You're an absolute legend, mate. I hope you're doing well. Thank you very much for that. Kai, welcome to the Members Club as well. Brody says, why would Garnacho turn down Bayern, a giant in European football, and they want you? Make it make sense. I did see that. I can't remember who I have got it here. Let me just double check. You do make a very valid point, and I would have completely forgotten about it, even though I'd noted it down. Where was it? Garnacho. Oh, that's that one. Mike Keegan says Man United are still seeking to strengthen their squad, but are unlikely to do so if they are only likely to do so if they complete more sales, having already spent 200 million on a new look front line. And that it was from Ben Jacobs. Garnacho turned down an approach from Bayern Munich today as he waits for Chelsea. Garnacho has already agreed terms with Chelsea. Man United insisting on £50 million. Chelsea still trying for less. Man United want to sell. Why would you turn down Bayern Munich over Chelsea? Because you're dealing with a petulant little shit who probably is motivated in his immaturity to prove us all wrong, kiss the Chelsea shirt and tell us all to piss off. If I'm being completely honest. He's got no affiliation with Chelsea. He's got no past love for Chelsea. Bayern Munich are a bigger club than Chelsea. But I genuinely think he is motivated by immaturity to prove Amorim and Man United fans what? Wrong. And Chelsea's a fantastic club and they're brilliant at transfers. And I'm not digging out Chelsea at all. But there's no sense to be obsessed with going to Chelsea. And he's always been obsessed with staying in the Premier League. Napoli was a really good offer and he nearly went in January. Bayern Munich's a really good offer, but he wants to play in the Premier League. And that is why he's turned down Bayern Munich, because he wants to play in the Premier League. And the reason he wants to play in the Premier League is not because he likes Stamford Bridge. It's because he's a kid. And I think wearing the Villa shirt, liking tweets, doing interviews shows the petulance of youth. He might grow up at one point, but I think he's motivated by revenge. I think he's motivated by that, and that's why he wants to go to Chelsea, prove people wrong. And he might do it. But I tell you now, I've said it before, Chelsea fans, you're going to love him because he's going to kiss that badge when he's on the bench. He won't even have come on and he'll be going like this. Where's the cameras? Because he's going, this is it. It's a big up yours to Ruben Amorim and Man United fans. That's what it's going to be. So that's why he wants to go to Chelsea. Do I want it to work out? You know what? If he'd have gone to Napoli or he'd gone to Bayern Munich, I'd have wished him all the best. But going to Chelsea, I can't. Because I know what the motivation is. It's as clear as day. His motivation... Well, look, I can't wish him all the best when he's pissed all over our club. I can't. He made that choice. I said this at the end of last season when he went out to Asia and all those United fans were screaming and shouting and loving him, and he acted disgustingly. He checked out. He wasn't interested. He had a big moody face. And, you know, they're human beings. They're Manchester United fans and they're human beings who idolise you. And you sit there like an absolute rude child. And that was it, where I thought, you know what? I don't wish him all the best. Because he doesn't wish us all the best. He shat all over those people that have actually backed him and, you know, said he's got a great talent. The Villa shirt was another example of that. He is exactly what he is. I hope for Chelsea's sake that he grows up and learns from it, because whether Amorim deserves it or not, Ian, we don't deserve it. Man United fans don't deserve it. Whether Amorim deserves it, maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. But Man United fans don't deserve it. You don't come to Manchester United as a teenager, be taken under the wing, idolised by some, appreciated by many. And and then shit all over it because you fall out with the manager. But I think it's just being set up as this big... I mean, I don't think he'll be at Chelsea. Oh, he probably will be at Chelsea for the game, won't he? We play Chelsea at home next month, game 5. So he may well be part of that game. And that'll be a very interesting game. I don't look forward to that game, actually, because their midfield will kick the shit out of our midfield, won't it? They will. If we don't buy a midfielder, their midfield is going to be way better than us. Anyway, that was a long-winded answer. Can you give a shout-out to my mate Richard? There we go. That's from Costadine. Thank you. I can't pronounce the surname. I won't even try. What's the crack with Diego Costa? Was the reports earlier about Turkey and small fee? Sounds odd. Surely he's worth more than double that, says Smoggy. My information is that Costa is available. But the price is the problem. And any deal now is the same. It's always very difficult to do a deal this late in the window. Faris says, you told the whole world that if you were Flopland, you wouldn't agree to leave. An attitude you have kicked against for other players, Player FC. Faris, I appreciate your comment. And again, we've had a couple like this tonight. But what you're trying to do is you're trying to grab a circle and get it into a hole that's a triangle. Like, it doesn't fit because everything's niche. And maybe your brain doesn't understand it. But what you're trying to basically say by being an offensive... I mean, straight away you've lost me because you're offensive about somebody's name. You're acting like a bloody child in a playground coming up with stupid nicknames. The name is Rasmus Højlund, and you're trying to compare him to Jadon Sancho or Anthony. And anybody with a brain cell knows that they're not comparable. Completely different circumstances. So, and also, why should Rasmus go on loan to AC Milan if he doesn't want to go to AC Milan? Maybe he's waiting for a better offer in the last week. Maybe he is going to go, but he's going to go to Napoli, who are in the Champions League. Or he's going to go to Leverkusen, who are in the Champions League. Completely different situation. I think our midfield was good against Arsenal because Cunha and Bermo and Mount, but without a striker we can't score. We need 12 players to play the system, says Honk. I want to talk about Mainoo. There should be a Europa League level goalkeeper from a top 5 league we can get quickly and for a reasonable price. Not top tier, but a huge improvement. Emi Martinez. Thank you, Slazy. And 1 Inch Wonder says, if performances in the next few games show that the Arsenal performance was just as rising to a big game as we've done sporadically before, are we doomed? What then? We need to see consistency. Well, I agree with you on that, but I think the confidence I have with that is that we've got... If we were the team as last year, I'd be worried, but we have got Cunha and Bermo, Shesko, so I expect to see a difference. I also think that if we can keep Yoro and De Ligt fit, that really helps at the back as well. I think those two players are ridiculously consistent. Do you think De Ligt regrets not joining us straight from Ajax? Also, we were crying for squad depth, now complaining when Mainoo's going to play, says Frank. Tanush says, it's Fulham, and I think we can win against Fulham because I don't think they are as strong as Arsenal. If we play the way we played against Arsenal, they will win. Thank you, Tanush. Do you think we have any centre midfielder or goalkeeper leads internally? Are we still figuring it out? Expectations being lowered by club sources and time is ticking. Read the show this morning and last night, Nick. We are looking at midfielders and goalkeepers. We know who we want, but I think it's a decision about whether we go for them or not. The goalkeeper will be Lemens, Martinez, and as an outside chance, Costa. But Costa's very much a fan theory thing. Watch this space. The midfielder, I mean, I don't believe the story about the Sevilla midfielder. There are players out there, but look, the biggest problem, as Nick highlights, is time. That 2 weeks is going to go like that. You know, we're into the final week of the window next week, really. And it's going to go very, very quickly. I have to say something about Reinders. How did we miss out on a player like this for that price? Energetic, legs, very good on the ball. I don't know, Jonathan. I mean, you always look at players. Why did we miss out on Alexi McAllister from Brighton? You know, he was he was a possibility before Liverpool went there. There's just, Frimpong for many years. I know he's not got going at Liverpool yet, but he will. Yeah, Evan P says people just make up rumours for clicks. Mark is spot on. It's amazing how done that one from Shahin as well. I do want to talk about Mainoo. Maybe in the minority, says Inbred Yeti, but I loved the way we looked against Arsenal. Ineos to me are making small steps in the right direction. Thank you very much. Club and fans treated Garnacho poorly. He will make us regret selling him over time. He needed a mentor, not be relied on every game. What fans treated him badly, mate? Because I'm certainly not having that levelled against me or most of this community. His passing out was far better than Onana, says DP. Mate, if you're bigging up Binder, can you look at what the score was and why we lost? Sancho's pissed me off more than Di Maria, says Mrs. Stone. We need to question the due diligence of the recruitment team. No other club signs this many mercenaries. Natural Hazard makes a good point. On Sancho, was there a time when he used to do interviews? I can't even remember what he talks like. Does he do interviews? Did he ever do interviews? It's just a random. What's more important now, standing firm and trying to get maximum valuable possible for Sancho, Anthony and Garnacho, or getting them and their toxic attitudes out of the club even at a reduced price, says Brandon. Well, I think all three players are banking on the latter. What Man United to do is down to them. We should pick either a goalkeeper or a centre midfielder and go all in with the remaining budget to buy a top one, either Costa or Yumlin, says Matthew H. Garnacho's attitude broke our hearts, potential wasted, says Evan P. Bruno said he didn't want Saudi because United could get all the players they needed this summer. Yet here we are, owners of Prats, says Kai. Leave him to Luke or Harry at the Chelsea match, says Martin Saunders. I'll tell you what, there's a legend in the making, isn't there, if Garnacho plays against us at Old Trafford. I mean, if I was on the pitch, I know exactly what I'd be doing. I wouldn't be going out to injure him, but, a good strong tackle is going to make you a fan favourite, isn't it? Garnacho needs to learn that motivation based on bitterness and revenge will only get you so far. That drive fades as the anger fades. Great point, Emily. One for life as well. I've done that one. Okay, I want to talk about Mojo. Can you please buy the club and bring us back to the glory days, says Louis. And I know this isn't about Man United, Mark, but have you seen Isak just made a statement on social media about promises being broken, says Dean. I will have a look at it in a minute because it is the United stand. I can do it on the after show, that's fine. But I wanted to talk about Mainoo. I know it's 9 o'clock, but I was a little bit late on the show tonight, so I have got time. This is a story that is not a story. It is a story that is coming from you. That I wanted to spend a few minutes on it because you don't always get the chance when the transfer window is open, but we're doing it towards the back end of the show. So, Kobbie Mainoo is a player I think many of us really like. I really like. I always think when people criticise him that in many ways last season was almost expected. I always think of Mainoo in the first season where he was gliding past players, really good passing, that goal against Wolves that was just such an important goal. And then he went to the Euros with England and he was playing for England in the starting 11 for a team that got to the finals, didn't he? So, to the final. So, that first breakout season was absolutely incredible. And the talent in there was very, very real. Last season was a complete and utter letdown. It was really, really bad. Probably not unexpected. When he went to the Euros, I remember saying, from an English point of view, I'm excited. From a Man United point of view, I'm devastated. Because when you've had a breakout season like that at that age, I was like, where's the rest? Where's the period of rest? He's going straight into a tournament, then he's going to go straight into a season. And lo and behold, he looked burnt out and he picked up injuries. And then the manager that really liked him, Ten Hag, was gone. And I think Amorim came in and saw a player that wasn't the finished article, was still very much a work in progress, and basically didn't want to put the work in with that progress because he felt that he had bigger things to concern himself with. And also, Mainoo wasn't in the best place physically or in form. So Mainoo couldn't get into one of the worst Man United sides we've ever seen. And I think that, all I've said there, is completely understandable from all parties. Mainoo's form is justifiable. Amorim's decision is justifiable. So last season was just a bad season. This season, we've had one game and he hasn't had a minute. So it's not the end of the world. Pre-season, he didn't get a lot of time. So I like Kobbie Mainoo, and I think that the player we know he can be is there. But where does he get minutes? Not signing a midfielder actually helps you get game time for Mainoo. But we all know we need a midfielder. And if we do sign a midfielder, that's less time for Mainoo. Now, some people think Mainoo can be a number 10. I think technically he can do it, but I don't think he's any better than Xerxes, Mount, Ahmad, and Burmo and Cunha. And you would imagine he's behind all of those. In the midfield, Bruno's going to take one of those spots 99% of the season. And we're trying to buy somebody for the other spot. And you've still got Ugarte, Casemiro, who get picked ahead of him. So I am massively confused about what the plan is for Mainoo. And we are going to sign a contract. He is going to sign a contract. And I want us to keep him. But I also look at it and go, a player of that quality should be starting. A player of that quality should have a pathway into the first team. And I genuinely don't know what it is. So I wanted to take a few minutes because a lot of people have been talking about it. And not for 1 second do I think we should be selling him. But I do think we need to ask the question, because he wasn't being used in pre-season enough. And he didn't get on the pitch on Sunday. And I don't know that he's going to start against Fulham. I hope I'm wrong. And it could change like that. Like, he could literally start against Fulham. But at the moment, I don't know what his pathway into the team is and how he keeps it. Because even if he came on against Fulham and played really well and started the next game, can I see him playing Bruno and Mainoo? I don't know. I don't know. But I think the only way he can get into the team is in that position next to Bruno, because he's not going to dislodge Bruno, is he? So the thing that he does have on his side is age, and maybe a year of being in and around the first team isn't necessarily a bad thing, and maybe that is the plan from Ruben Amorim, because he is 20, but he's not 21 until April. Look, honestly, I thought if you'd have said to me when Mainoo played in that Euros final that a year later he'd have gone back to being a bench player, I'd be like, what's going on? But I agree with Manchester Drake. He needs to play. And we need to see that pathway. And at the moment, nobody can tell me what it is, because Amorim has not shown us what it is yet. But it's a long season, and it can change like that. And I remember this happening with Herrera. Like, United fans were like, why is Herrera not playing? And then suddenly he was. And he was delivering like many people thought he would. So, look, maybe it's just that opportunity. But I don't think Amorim likes Mainoo and Bruno together. I don't think he likes that, which is why I think he brought Ugarte on at the weekend and he started Casemiro. I don't think he likes Mainoo with Bruno, and that's why he's trying to buy a midfielder as well. So the big question is, and Gotham says he needs a loan. It is really confusing, CT. The only thing I would say to play devil's advocate is, does Amorim rate Mainoo? Have we seen any evidence of that? To which the answer is, well, yes, because he's mentioned him numerous times. In my opinion, it's just he sees a player he's got to nurture who isn't there yet. But, is Bruno the cock blocker? I think Bruno plays in the position Mainoo should play. I think Mainoo with ideally an Ugarte, but Mainoo with a Baleba, Mainoo with a Wharton, Mainoo with a Yulmlin is what I would like to see. But I think we all know that's not happening this season. And maybe the plan is Bruno goes in May next year and Mainoo takes that spot. So this year he's just got to learn it. And maybe there's a longer term vision from Amorim, and maybe that's what it is. And maybe it's just going to take a bit of patience, and maybe that's what's going to make Mainoo sign the contract. Because I think the biggest thing here is that doesn't make me worry about a player I like is, why would you sign a contract if you know everything we've just said? You're not getting minutes. What's your pathway into the team? Why would you sign a new contract? Why would Man United give a player 150 grand a week who's not got a pathway into the team? So maybe the plan is that over this season, we might see Bruno getting subbed. We might see Bruno not start. And if we do, then I'd be very confident that the plan is that Bruno goes in the summer and Mainoo takes his place. Because that's the only logic I can come up at the moment. And it might be wrong, but I think the place where Mainoo suits the team best is where Bruno is. But Bruno plays every minute of every game. If Mainoo signs that contract, then I think the theory that Bruno's going to Saudi at the end of the season makes more and more sense. Really do. He's not signed the contract yet, though, says Gaz. Yeah, but those contracts normally don't get announced in a transfer window. If you announce one of those in a transfer window, as a fan, you shit yourself because you go, why are we announcing new contracts in a transfer window? It's like a new signing. I think I wouldn't expect the Mainoo deal to get announced until September anyway. Maybe in the international break. Positivity story. Maybe you announce it after the window's closed when everyone's pissed off. You know, why would you do it now? I've heard people saying it online, and it's been said for a few weeks now, that contract is there ready to be signed, and it's a timing thing, and I think it's probably just a PR thing as to when to do it. Amorim said he has big plans for him. Watch this space. Yes, 92. Mark, a rather unpopular opinion, but Bruno seriously lacks the discipline in this setup. He did lose possession in critical areas and lacks precision in passing. I think we should have cashed in, says Sahaj. Well, I've said it a few times. I don't like him in the midfield. I want him to play as a number 10. I don't think he's got the discipline to play in the midfield. And to be fair, Binder is totally responsible for the goal, but Bruno, I think, did give it away for the corner. Keel says, I don't get Amorim. Emily Derry says, mentality profile midfield apart from Bruno and Mainoo is concerning. One midfielder with no confidence and another one sat waiting for the next contract, says Emily. It's a shame about Ugarte. I will just speak about Ugarte. I like Ugarte. I think some people in our fan base didn't like him from the very start, and I don't really understand why. And they came up with nicknames, and they've been going from him for day one. I don't understand people who call themselves Man United fans or Arsenal fans or Liverpool fans who go after new signings from day one. I just don't understand it. And I certainly think Ugarte, for some reason, has always had this. Even last season, he'd put a tweet out, and there'd be United fans in his replies going mad at him. And I've never really understood it. So there's definitely a dislike for Ugarte in this fan base that started ridiculously early and is irrational. I think last season he had an up and down season, and people want to forget some of the good games. He's incredibly high scoring statistically in recoveries, like incredibly. But I tell you what, I said this about Rasmus at the end of last season, and I said it about Martial. He was one of my favourite players. I will never lie whether I like a player or not if they're not performing, and I will never lie whether I like a player or not if they are performing. You know, I'll always shout it out. And he looks like a player bereft of confidence, which is strange because he's just had a pre-season, World Cup year, important play for Uruguay, but yeah, he looked really off it on Sunday. But I still hold hope that there's a good player there because there's not a lot we can do with him this season. So we've got to get behind him. You know, you can have your decisions about what you think about Rasmus, Onana, Binder, you know, Luke Shaw, whatever. But with Ugarte, he's been here 1 year and he will be here this season. So hopefully he can find some sort of form because players like that, even as a bench player, are very, very important. I'm going to read this Isak story, but let me just wrap up. I don't think Dalot has a spot in our team. He isn't good as a wing-back. Random guy, I will always say this. If you're writing off Dalot, you've got absolutely no idea how much Ruben Amorim likes Dalot. Amorim, sir, thank you very much. Okay, right, I'm going to read this Isak thing, but let's wrap up the United stand, then we'll do a bit of an after show. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Make sure you smash a like on the video and subscribe. And just before I finish that part, 10 o'clock show tomorrow, but also keep an eye on socials tomorrow for me and That's Football. Really big thing being announced tomorrow that I mentioned to you this morning, which I haven't said what it is, but it's really exciting and you'll be able to get involved in it. And it's a real step forward for everything we've been building over the last decade. So really proud of it. And I want every one of you to be proud of it, because ultimately I think it's going to cause quite a few people to, attack us because they're scared. This is a big win and a step forward for everything we've built collectively, and it can't happen without you. So hopefully you'll be really happy and excited about getting involved with it as well. It's not United Stand, it's That's Football, but I know a lot of you are part of that, so I'm just sharing that. Okay, thanks everyone for watching. Speak to you all in a bit. Right, after show, let me have a quick look at this Isak thing, because I've got absolutely no idea what it is, and I've purposely been keeping it out. So Terry's just messaging me, what's the announcement tomorrow? I've already told you this morning, Terence, that when I can tell you, I will tell you, and I can't tell you before 10 o'clock because it's breaching contracts and stuff, so I have to wait until 10 o'clock tomorrow. I'm going to be on the overlap. No, it's not that. It's definitely not that. Although, never say never. Right, I'm trying to find out what it is. Okay, Terry's watching anyway. I'm trying to find out this easy. Okay. Okay, Isak's going to Liverpool. Oh, where is this? Where is this? Where is this statement from Isak? Okay, here it is. I'm proud to be recognised by my fellow professionals with a place in the PFA Premier League Team of the Season. First and foremost, I want to thank my teammates and everyone at Newcastle who has supported me along the way. I am not at the ceremony tonight. With everything going on, it didn't feel right to be there. I've kept quiet for a long time while others have spoken. The silence has allowed people to push their own version of events, even though they know it doesn't reflect what was really said and agreed behind closed doors. The reality is that promises were made and the club has shown my position for a long time. Has known my position for a long time. To now act as if these issues are only emerging is misleading. When promises are broken and trust is lost, the relationship can't continue. That's where things are for me right now, and why change is in the best interests of everyone, not just myself. I ain't got a problem with that statement at all. I can imagine Simon Jordan tomorrow morning is going to go mad on talk shit. I can imagine Alan Shearer is going to lose it with Gary Lineker. And, maybe Jamie Carragher is going to put his white trainers on and jump around and go, I can't believe it. No, he'll be happy because he's going to Liverpool. So don't worry about that. There's nothing wrong with that statement if you know what's been going on. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. Isak and Newcastle knew he was leaving this summer. That's been known for a long time. And what's happened is he's still a Newcastle player because Newcastle can't sign the strikers they want. We've got one of them. Chelsea's got one of them. Chelsea's got two of them, actually, Delap and Pedro. Liverpool's actually got one of them in Ekitike, and we've got one of them in Šeško. If they'd been able to get the strikers in, Isak would be gone. And the reason Isak's still at Newcastle is because Newcastle is still trying to buy the strikers. So I don't really have a problem with what he said at all. He'll end up going to Liverpool. Newcastle need to sign a couple of strikers, simple as that. So that's my thoughts on that. What about Rasmus to Newcastle? I don't think they want him, Surplus. I don't think they want him. If Rasmus leaves, I think the best place for Rasmus to go to is the Bundesliga. I think the Bundesliga now is the... Well, we've seen it, haven't we? Šeško from Leipzig to us. Ekitike from Frankfurt to Liverpool. Wirtz from Leverkusen to Liverpool. Frimpong. That's... The Italian league is a good league, but I think reputation-wise, the Bundesliga is the league now where Premier League clubs are looking. Look, it's Italian club, Spanish Real Madrid and teams like that have always looked at the Bundesliga, haven't they? Look at the volume of players that have gone from there to there. But I think if I was Rasmus, I wouldn't. If Newcastle probably don't want him, but I wouldn't fancy that anyway. I'd go Bundesliga. Mamouche as well. Yeah, Mamouche to Man City. I'm really excited. I tell you what, it's probably not going to be good for us, but I just love the way Leipzig, and I know they're not necessarily the most popular team in Germany because of the Red Bull franchise, and the German fans are very, very passionate, of course, but Leipzig have got this striker, I forget his name now. I think it's Romero or something like that, or Romelu, something like that, from Turkey. He's like 23. So they've replaced Seško with this 23-year-old. And I'm very excited to see what he's going to do because they just seem to get it right. Aaron's right. The pace and intensity of the Bundesliga suits the Premier League. It is the closest to the Premier League, isn't it? Really. La Liga's a little bit different, but Italy's a bit slower. But the Italian league is a very competitive league within its... Anyway, this is the after show. Talking about the after show, this is absolutely perfect. So I didn't realise this. I was on Twitch last night because I got sent a clip of the butterflies farts, Binder thing. And but somebody had used my commentary and used it on a different goal that wasn't the Binder thing, which seems to happen a lot on TikTok now. So you know the goal we conceded in the Europa League final. And I can say this in the after show. So the goal that we conceded in the Europa League final, I obviously went mad. But what people do is they take my footage, split screen it, and on the bottom screen, they play things that wasn't the Europa League. So, and it's not funny. Sometimes they'll do it like a Peppa Pig match where Daddy Pig's in goal and I'll be going, you're fucking useless. You're absolutely rubbish, right? But some people do it for wheelchair football or blind football. And I'm going, you're rubbish, this, that and the other, which obviously I would never commentate on that, but people think it's funny on TikTok. So I was looking at one of these clips and it was an amateur football game where this, Pratt makes a mistake in goal. But I swiped up and it went to another TikTok of me and it was like when Goldbridge forgot to turn off his stream. I was like, what? What is this? So on Sunday after the Arsenal game, I was streaming on YouTube and I was streaming on Twitch. But when we finish the watch along, I end the Twitch one and I do the match reaction on here. Or so I thought. Because what actually happened, and the video's there on Twitch, on Goldbridge TV, if you watch the last 40 minutes, I don't end the Twitch stream. So they get the bit in between where I am ending the watch along and setting up the match reaction. But even better than that, when I finish the match reaction and I finish on YouTube, I still haven't turned Twitch off. So I get up and I go out the room. I come back. I then film a That's Football 10 minutes pre-record. And at the end of the pre-record, I need a thumbnail because Matt and Ryan, our graphic people, are busy doing other stuff. So I just do a screenshot. So I've obviously ended the recording. Twitch is still running. And I'm going like this. Just because I think I'm recording. And then for the next 10 minutes, I'm sat editing it like this. Well, you know what I'm going to say? When I found out about this and watched it last night, I was like, the things I could have done not realising I was streaming. And I told Mrs. Goldbridge it, and she said, well, you could have done something rude. And I said, no, I always make sure the camera's off for that. God, that's a career ender. You're not going to come back. And we had a bit of a laugh because I was saying, imagine if I'd have knocked one out. I mean, I wouldn't do it. I don't do that sort of thing. But there'd be no... She was like, will you be cancelled? I went, that would be the least of my problems. That would be the... my YouTube career being over would be the last of my problems if I was live streaming having a Tommy tank. That would be there forever. That, if you think Pink Boots went viral, that was only the football community. That would be going viral in Australia for people who've got no interest in football. That would be it. And any shop I walk in, sometimes you walk in a shop and someone will go, Goldbridge, I like your content or whatever. Doris, who doesn't like football, would see it. You'd be known as Tugbridge and the whole world would know it. You'd have to, that would be just put yourself in those shoes. You don't even need to have a YouTube channel. If you got caught knocking one out on camera, that's it. You're done. You're never getting a job. You've lost all respect from your family. You're finished. And then it got me thinking, but everybody does it. Not online, but everybody does it. But yeah, it did. You know what it worried me about? Not that. It just worried me that the thought of the stream being running and not knowing. Like, I wouldn't do anything that get me cancelled. I can't think anything I would. It's not like I end the stream and start shouting obscenities about, you know, things that you shouldn't do. But it does make you feel. It did make me feel quite vulnerable when I saw it on Twitch and I had no idea. On TikTok, I had no idea, and nobody knew because we're more focused on YouTube. So the Twitch thing is just like we just do it for the watch along. So nobody was watching it who works for us or anything like that. It was only last night when I went on TikTok, I saw when Goldbridge thinks he stopped the stream and he hasn't. And I went and looked at the last Twitch video, and sure enough, the last 40 minutes, I'm there just, you know. I mean, what I could have done is I could have finished the stream and it could have been a stressful watch along, and I could have been there going, fucking Terry, you know, saying, I could have said something like that, or Matt, the bloody editor, he's fucking edit, you know, something like that. But yeah, it's a funny feeling. It's a funny feeling. What else? There was something else I wanted to say. Oh, I know. I'm going to do this live here. So I was walking the dog today and I was looking at some grass on the floor. And I thought, I wonder why people who snitch are called a grass. And I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't figure out why. So I'm going to do it now. Why is grass a word for snitching? The word grass is used for snitching or informing in British slang, primarily as a shortening of grasshopper, which is rhyming slang for shopper. One who shops or sells information. That's the most disappointing fucking reveal ever. That is you know what? That's worse than the excitement of the Phantom Menace and watching it. That is rubbish. You know what? I actually thought it was going to be something about the reason people get called a grass is because grass grows all around you and behind your back or something like that, which is still rubbish. But people, so when you call someone a grass for snitching, you're basically, I'm just going to call him a snitch. Grass is basically grasshopper shortened, and grasshopper rhymes with shopper or copper. Oh no, there's another, this is a better suggestion. Another suggestion is snake in the grass, referring to a hidden traitor. Well, that one's better. The grasshopper one's bloody rubbish. You're a grass. What does that even mean? You know, grass, grasshopper, shopper. Some Cockney slang is crap. I like apples and stairs. No, apples and pears, stairs. Skin and blister, sister. That one's rubbish. That really is rubbish. Fred Army says the Phantom Menace is a misunderstood masterpiece. I'm trying to think about what, you know, here's one for you. What is something that you got really excited about, which was an absolute disappointment? There's a few for me. I mean, there's things in my life that I got really excited about and they were actually better. I mean, I must admit, before I'd played with a couple, I was very excited about doing it. But when I actually got to do it, it was amazing. It was brilliant. I'm talking about juggling. I'd always wanted to do some juggling. And I got some juggling balls for Christmas. And it was better than I imagined. My first pint was disappointing. Lager was not what I thought it was going to be. I really wanted to put some lemonade in it, but you know, the classic Office Alton Towers one. Yeah, Alton Towers. Alton Towers is the best theme park I ever went to. Was the American Adventure, which was in Derbyshire, and that was brilliant. Alton Towers is disappointing. I've not been for years, but it is overpriced and disappointing. I've not been to a theme park in years. What about footballers? Well, yeah, there could be, yeah. Game of Thrones last season was shit, yeah. There's been a few TV shows that I've been really excited about, and they've been absolute crap. Willett says American Adventure was crap. I loved it. I loved the... Maybe I was small, though. They used to have like a big, massive indoor play area as well. It probably was shit, but you know when you're little. Subway in New York. I didn't even do it when I was in New York. Stonehenge is Stonehenge for me. You drive a long way to get there, and it's just a big lump of stones on a field. Like, the thing is, if you go to London, like Big Ben's really good. Buckingham Palace is just down the road. There's loads of stuff that you can go bang, 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 bang. It's really good. You go to Stonehenge, it's just the stones. Yeah, it's really disappointing. Yeah. Liam said he found a hand job disappointing. No comment. I don't think Delo has a spot in our team as random guy. Yeah, we're not doing football. Grand Canyon, says Mike. I've never been there, but I suppose it's just one big hole, isn't it, that just goes along. Yeah. Thing is, the Grand Canyon fell off. And I don't mean that because it is a big cliff, but you never hear about the Grand Canyon anymore. When I was a kid, you used to hear about the Grand Canyon all the time. You used to learn about it in school. You don't hear about the Grand Canyon anymore. No one talks about the Grand Canyon. Yeah. Marv says, I'll show you around the subway. I like the underground in London. It's one of my favourite things. It's great. Las Vegas is disappointing in terms of partying and nightlife, says Vincent. Happy Coding says the hand job was probably disappointing because it was off his mum. You don't come on the United stand to get burnt like that. Wow. It's going off in the chat. Going off in the chat. You should know, Mark. Sherwood Forest is disappointing. I mean, it's just a big wood at the end of the day. What I find funny about Sherwood Forest is, and I haven't been for years, but because I used to live in Nottingham, I probably went there a couple of times, is that there's this tree. If you know the Robin Hood story, the Major Oak is where Robin Hood lived, right? And even as a 10-year-old, you wouldn't imagine me doing this. When we got there, the Major Oak is, I think it's still there. I might have to Google it. But it's got all these like scaffolding holding it up, right? But the main body of the tree is about as wide as my desk. So I remember saying to, I think it was with my mum, I said, two problems with this. One, how do they know that's the Major Oak? And two, they wouldn't all fit in it anyway. And actually, when you do your research on it, they actually admit it's not the tree that Robin Hood lived in. It's just an old tree. So it's all a big scam, really. Let me Google it. Major Oak. Somebody just said it's impressive. It's just a big piece of wood. Yeah, it's... Basically, it's a large oak tree. According to local folklore, it was Robin Hood's shelter where he and his merry men slept. No. That makes him sound gay. And there's nothing wrong with that, but they would never have fit in. They would never have fit in. The Major Oak was identified by Major Hayman Rooke in 1790. So basically, this bloke in 1790 went, this is going to be the tree where Robin Hood lived. And everyone fell for it. You know, I think most modern day places of interest was probably a medieval Goldbridge type making it up. Yeah, that's where Robin Hood lived. Tell everybody that that's where Robin Hood lived. On my deathbed, Make sure you tell everybody that's where Robin Hood lived. Oh, why are you going on about that? Just do it. The banter in 300 years will make it worth it. But you're always going on about it, Dad. Just tell them that tree was where Robin Hood lived. And I'll die a happy man. Okay, we will. And it's just been passed down, passed down. Spin. It's just bloody spin. End of the day, it's just spin. Okay, I'm going to go now. Thanks everyone for watching. Hopefully I will hit the live. You know what would be brilliant comedy now? Would be to say I'm actually going to go now, end the stream, and then just knock one out. But obviously that would be funny because it would be, oh, he's forgotten to do it, but it wouldn't be worth the joke. But you know what I mean. It would be funny if I didn't if I played along that I hadn't realised and did something. But yeah. Tanush says, thoughts on Isak's statement? I spoke about it about 10 minutes ago. Kreshev says, it's my birthday. Happy birthday, Kreshev. DP, thank you very much. What's your worst ever start to live you've done? Says James. I bit my mouth, didn't I? There's a clip of it. I used to get quite aggressive at the start of some streams. Like when I was in the early days, like the audio would go wrong or it wouldn't go live. Yeah. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care. Bounty Hunter laughed his ass off. Adil wrote on a cigarette packet isn't worth anything. Isak needs to knuckle down now, says Danny. People are going mad. James, I'm not reading that out. Okay, thanks everyone for watching. We're back at 10 o'clock tomorrow, and don't forget to keep an eye out for the news that's coming out. It's not United Stand related. It's That's Football, so I don't want people to get their hopes up, but it's still good, really good. Take care.